Hello, I am Ms. Shu Yanokita. I am a member of the Curriculum Committee for the Academy for Lifelong Learning. Welcome to our Zoom preview where we're introducing our instructors for our February courses. First up, we have Vernon Johnson, who will be teaching Institutional Racism in America. His course starts on February 4th. Professor Johnson originally scheduled his course to teach for ALL in the spring in person, and we are delighted that he is going to be presenting his course via Zoom. He has been with Western Washington since 1986. His most recent award was in 2015, Western Washington Sharp Community Engagement Award for his long-standing contributions to community service in Bellingham. One of his specialties is race and public policy. Vernon?
Thank you, Michelle. Sorry, yep, but hello everyone. Vernon Damani Johnson here. I'm a professor of political science and director of the Ralph Monroe Institute for Civic Education at Western Washington University. And I've done research, teaching, and trainings on race and social justice for nearly 35 years. Since I was originally asked to offer this course, America has witnessed, I think we would all say, a racial awakening. First, there was the COVID-19 pandemic and the early evidence that it more severely affected Black and brown communities. Then in May, there was the graphic brutality of the police killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. By early summer, communities of color were condemning systemic racism, not only in policing, but in healthcare, education, and all the major institutions of US society. And that phrasing, systemic racism, was being echoed by leading figures in all of those arenas, and also by voices from the corporate sector and political leadership as well. This was unprecedented. It has usually only been those from the bottom rungs of society and the left of the political spectrum that have made such claims about systemic racism. As some have put it, this is truly the time for a racial reckoning in America. So a course like this has never been more timely. Systemic racism is synonymous with institutional racism. There is so much to tackle here that I'm not completely sure of everything that I will cover or what examples or exercises that I'll use, but as a baseline, we will do some of the following things. We will define race and racism. We'll explore the way that racism is embedded in American political, economic, and social institutions from the founding of the Republic until contemporary times. Then we'll explore the manner in which race and racism operate in different societal settings today. Then we will give special attention to the racialized character of contemporary American political debates. Finally, we'll also examine the trajectory of our racial demography and how that will impact public policy and the fabric of society in the future. The course will employ a combination of lectures with PowerPoint slides, videos, and some small group activities, and there'll be ample time for Q&A and interaction and feedback between participants. So thank you for your time, and I hope to see you in February.
Thank you. Next up, we have David Drummond. His course is Northwest Swans, Geese, and Ducks. It starts on February 8th. David has been our longest standing instructor for ALL. He has been with us for the 23 years that we have been teaching courses here in Bellingham. As many of you may know, he has just returned from Colombia, where he was searching for the rarest of birds and was quarantined there for 8 months. What I just found out was during his quarantine period, he also penned over 150 poems. Hopefully he will share some of that with us in the future. David?
Well, hi and good day. It's beautiful to be here with all of you. I look forward to sharing this class. As you'll have noticed outside, flying high overhead or in the waterlands, there's many geese and ducks that have already arrived. And I look forward to exploring about 33 different species of those with you in these 3 class sessions. My style is one of a holistic field ID, and you may have already developed the system in your viewing, but I'll help you refine that. And there'll be plenty of time at the end of each class session for Q&A, but during which we'll actually explore a couple of species of swan, 4 geese species, and the balance of the 33 will be in the dabbling and diving duck sectors. So I like to go beyond just the beauty of the males and actually teach it from the perspective of females and juveniles. And in that way, you'll actually learn to better learn the different genuses in this amazing group. We'll look at their foraging strategies, their distribution, not only in the winter, but in the breeding season as well, because many of these animals are from the high Arctic. And the fascinating part, of course, is to learn a little bit about their behavioral ecology. We too will visit some of the resources that are available locally, as well as in the literature, and that'll give us a better overview, and certainly some great areas to be out there viewing right now as well. So these are some of the attributes of this class, and so I invite you to join us, and I look forward to sharing more than a few anecdotes, but we'll stay on focus pretty much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. And next up, we have Craig Lang. His course is ALSIB, World War II's Air Route, a sequel. He will begin on February 16th. For all of you whose interest was piqued by Craig's course in December, we are very pleased to have him return to us for a deeper look at this air route between Montana and Russia. Craig has been a lifelong educator, a writer, a public speaker, and has researched for over 10 years the Lend-Lease program in World War II. And we are pleased to have his expertise as he shares with us this unique relationship we had with the Soviet Union, this little known part of our American history. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you for joining us today on this brief presentation. This is a story of Lend-Lease and the Alaska-Siberia Air Route, Part 2. For those who joined us in December, this will take a deeper look into the program. On the map above, you see the map of the United States showing all of the aircraft manufacturers with arrows going to Great Falls, Montana. This was the start of the ALSIB route, and it goes up through Canada and on into Russia. So the earlier classes will take us all the way to Fairbanks, or did, and then this section will take us into what went on behind the Iron Curtain. And I'll be sharing with you stories that very, very few Americans have ever heard of, especially regarding the relationship between the United States and former Soviet Union. In my travels there, the diplomats and their educators have been more than generous to share pictures and stories that I did not know about. We're going to pick up the class with the story of how the Great Patriotic War started. This was the first day of summer in 1941, 6 full months before the attack on Pearl Harbor. And it was the largest attack force in any type of warfare ever. It was further in distance from the Vancouver, British Columbia border to San Diego if you looked at the West Coast. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. We'll also be talking about the men behind the scenes. Vyacheslav Molotov was Stalin's right-hand man and worked very close with Harry Hopkins, who was Franklin Roosevelt's right-hand man. And together they made the logistics of this program work. Had it not been for the Lend-Lease program, the Soviet Union more than likely would not have been able to hold off the Nazi invasion. They lost 27 million citizens during the war in that 4-year period. And you can see this is some photographs from behind the scenes. They did not have fuel like we had here in the United States, the capacity to have fuel over Siberia. And so they had to bring it in on barges and then roll it out to the airfields for all of these American aircraft that were being sent to Krasnoyarsk, Russia, and then on to the fighting fronts. And those are American airplanes in the lower picture there. That is the Russian air route, and I will provide a translated version of that when we get into class. Why it mattered and still did. If you look at the photo in the upper left, that's Red Square in Moscow in 1945. And those are Studebaker trucks made in the United States, and they're carrying missiles on them. So the United States effort of providing for the Russians was beyond belief. They even today, even at the highest diplomatic levels, say thank you for what the United States did for them. Lower right are Soviet pilots. They had more kills against Nazis in American-made aircraft than they did their own aircraft. And in the back there, that is a Bell P-63 Airacobra made in New York. And when the relationship changed and why it did, Franklin Roosevelt died. He had a great vision for a world after the end of World War II. And unfortunately, he passed on April 12, 1945, and VE Day was a month later on May 8th. And then the second one, May 9th, that's when the Soviets had their peace with Nazi and the Nazi Germany. So we will be talking more about this, going into the details and why we still continue to have challenges today with the Russian people. So I welcome all of you to join us in February, and please tell your friends about this. You'll hear some stories and see things that you've never seen before. With that, I thank you very much.
Thank you, Craig. To enroll, you can click on the Register Here link, or you can go to our ALL website to enroll in any of our courses. You can also contact me for participation in any of our interest groups at no charge, and there is no registration necessary. Our Contemporary Readings discussion group meets on the first Mondays of every month from 10 to 12. Our History discussion group meets from 1 to 3 on those Mondays. Our World Affairs discussion group meets on the first Tuesdays of every month from 10 to 12. Join us in any of our courses or all of our courses as our learning community connects with one another during this challenging time. Thank you.